Hi guys, welcome to this week's demo. So this week I wanted to share with you the amazing world of suede paper or velvet paper. Sometimes I feel like the name is interchangeable. So this is that paper. It is kind of fuzzy. It is also really flexible because it's technically a type of book cloth. The idea with it originally is that you could maybe like wrap a book with like around the cover, and then you'd be able to like open and close it like a million times, and the binding isn't going to wear out because it's actually meant to be the cover of a book. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly show you all the amazing colors that it comes in. Look how beautiful all of these colors are. Oh my gosh, I just love paper. I really, really love paper, especially textured paper. It is just so gorgeous. I'm organizing these in a nice rainbow here, so then that way you can at least see all of the choices. Now, there are other choices available besides these colors, but these are the ones that I have in stock at the moment because these are so much fun. So you can see how they come in these really beautiful colors. What I love about this suede paper is, especially if you're doing bookbinding, the colors of the suede paper tend to match really nicely with the handmade papers that I carry. So then that way you can like make the cover of a book and then use the suede on the side. Actually, I might have a sample. Hold on. This is a book that Wendy made a number of years ago here, but this is a handmade paper on the front, and then you can see this is the suede paper on the binding here, and see how it's really nice and crisp. But again, the book can open and close a million times, and it's not just going to wear down that edge and rip on the binding there. So that's the kind of idea when you're doing bookmaking, what you would use for the edge. So this is referred to as a book cloth. All right, so that's what that's about. Okay, all right, now let's get into making the fun things. What I love about doing demo is that I get to like share ideas with all of you guys, and hopefully you're inspired, but if nothing else, at least you're learning something. Okay. So, because we were talking about a little book anyway, let's start with that idea. Oh, I've got my little pages around here somewhere. Okay, so I cut out a piece of the white suede paper. I'm just going to refer to it as suede paper, knowing that the words suede and velvet in this case are pretty interchangeable for the project that I'm working on here. So, but either way, this is a piece of that suede paper. And so what I want to do here is I'm actually just going to use my scoring tool. And a scoring tool is going to put that fold line in your papers. And so here, I want my book, let's see the dimensions I have here. So I want my book to be, we're just going to make this, I'm just going to make a little book here. Okay, so the fold line goes in the middle, but then we're folding down. I always recommend that you match up your edges anyway, so that way you get a nice clean edge there, and then it will land on that nice fold line that we placed in there. Okay, and you can always use the back side of your bone folder to kind of press that more flat if you would like. All right, and now I'm going to do my inside pages. I'm not doing very many because I'm just doing a quick little book here, and this is that text weight, which is that lighter weight kind of a paper, so it's not cardstock. And we're going to do this, so 5.5, 5 3/4, so that's going to go right here. Let's do it. And here. All right, so now we go ahead and press those in place. Okay. All right, so this is just going to be a really, really quick, really unofficial way to make a little mini book, but especially if you're looking for a little like tiny book for kids or just like a little project, this is just a really great way to go. So I folded up the pages there so they'll fit nicely in my little booklet. And what I've done here is I actually cut my pages so that they're just a little bit smaller on all four sides here, and you can see that there's a small, there's a little bit larger of a little bit of an edge here on the right and left side, so there's a little bit more white here and here, but down here at the bottom and at the top there's only about 1/8 of an inch, and there's probably 2/8 on the left and right. That's because when you fold your pages, they end up moving out just a little bit, especially if you have all of them stuck together and you're folding them. They tend to be a little bit wider because some of those pages from the inside are going to stick out just a little bit farther. So as you close your book, then you'll see that there's actually a nice even about 1/8 of an inch on all four sides there. Okay, hopefully you guys can see what I'm talking about. All right, like I said, I'm gonna make this just a really quick, easy book, and to do that here, I'm gonna add just my little, with my little stapler here, And I think that I actually, since I'm doing this anyway, I think I'm gonna actually put in a tiny little bookmark because I think that would just be so cute. So let me just cut some of this really fast. So I'm just gonna stack things right here in front of you on the camera here. Oh, my paper cutter. Stapler. I don't need my scoring tool at the moment. Tuck that away. And let's get another little piece of this. I decided I'm going to go with a little bit slightly different color, so it kind of goes with my color palette here. And I'm just going to cut a little small strip of this. It's just going to be really little. Probably about 1/4 of an inch is what I've cut off of that. Whoops. Wow, that's not straight at all. Let's try that again. See, that's what I did there. Realizing my mistakes. All right, there we go. So we're going to do about 1/4 of an inch. Might be actually a little bit wider than 1/4 of an inch, but that's okay. All right, there we have my little strip there. Then I want to see how I want to lay this out here. So my little edge right here, I want this to kind of look like a cute little bookmark. So I'm actually going to cut this into that little chevron kind of an end, and I'm going to make this actually so that it's actually nice and narrow. So we have our little tip right there, so cute. All right, I'm gonna make my little book. I always kind of think about, oh, where do I want it to be? I want it to kind of come over the top and kind of hang down. So I'm gonna have this kind of lay down on the back side here. So this is going to be over here on this back side here. So I think I'm gonna use a little bit of double-sided tape and adhere that in place. So this is on my back piece, the last page right along the spine. I'm going to put some double-sided tape there. And I'm going to stick this down. And I'm going to bring this all the way down to the very edge, right at the bottom there. This is going to come up along the edge there. And then I'm just going to take a moment and fold this over. So this is going to act like a tiny cute little bookmark. Oh, look how cute that is. Actually, now that I'm thinking about that, that probably should have been red, but that's okay. All right, so now we have all our folds together. So I'm going to bring this down and fold it in, and bring these down and fold them in. So all of our folds are landing on the same spot, and I'm just going to use a stapler just to adhere this in place because I want this to kind of be just a quick little mini book here. And I always like to watch to see where that's going to land, so then that way I can make sure to line that up on the edge, and I'm actually going to do it from the back side here. So I don't want the edge of that to be really sharp. And this should be correct. I'm hoping it's correct. Ah, perfect. Luckily my stapler apparently has little guidelines for this, so that's convenient. And I'm just going to do 2 here. Perfect. And those are going to land right there, well, close to the middle. And then we're going to go ahead and fold that. And then we have our cute little bookmark. So we have a tiny cute little mini book. Isn't this so fun? Oh gosh, I put that just slightly off. Oh, that's going to bother me. I have to fix this really fast. So that's going to drive me crazy. Especially because I want that to land perfect. Put it in the exact same spot again. Sorry guys, you're just going to have to bear with me here while I land my stapler in the right spot here. There we go. All right. So now as we open this up, then we have our cute little book here, and then we can have our little pages here, and then you can have your cute little bookmark kind of come down in the middle there. All right, so it's kind of a cute little, quick little mini book, okay? Now let's say you want to do something fun on the cover. So I have some fun ideas for you. So, well, I'm not going to do it on this because that would be fun, but I'm going to show you some other techniques here. All right, so I'm going to get my little craft mat here. Okay, so my craft mat here, I'm going to lay this down so I don't get my background all dirty. All right, so when I was playing with suede paper, I was like, oh, there's so many different ideas. What else can you do, okay? So I'd like to start thinking outside the box a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of my blending brushes here. The blending brushes are a bristled brush like so. So it's not a foam, it's actually bristles on a little brush. But it's really dense, so it makes it you can actually apply a lot of ink very quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up some ink here. This is the Wild Honey ink pad. It's one of my favorite colors. It's absolutely beautiful. And I'm picking things that are kind of in the yellow, kind of brown tones to go with this kind of off-white paper. Now, I wanted to colorize suede paper, so I had to do a little bit of experimenting here. So I'm just going to kind of show you what I did. All right, so we get this beautiful gradation of color. So stunning. I just love laying down color on suede paper because it blends so beautifully. These are dye-based inks, which means they're going to dry really quickly. Now, when it comes to suede paper, however, I'm not really sure why it is. It might be that there's some sort of synthetic fiber in here. I'm honestly just not sure. But for whatever reason, some of the inks aren't going to dry right away. So I'm going to kind of show you what I did to kind of feel more successful with this idea. Okay, so I lay down one color, and now I'm just going to, I brushed off my brush here, so then most of that color comes off, and I'm going to go into my next color. I'm actually going to use a darker brush here. Oh, this has purple on it. No, just kidding. I'm going to use the same color. All right, and then I'm going to add a little bit of brown down here because I want that really beautiful kind of gradation of color. So what's nice about this is then that way you can kind of blend and kind of create the color of suede paper that you actually want. So let's say you're like, I really need this very specific shade of blue. It needs to be this color of my ink pad. You can take your Distress ink pad and actually create the color, okay? All right, so what's happening here is that some of the ink is still a little bit wet, which means that I can actually still move it around. So what you're going to want to do is after you've laid down all the color and you're like, yes, I'm really satisfied with how that looks, then you're going to want to take a paper towel, and what I did was I actually just ran it over this, so then that way I'm pulling out any other color. And can you see there's still a little bit of color on there? I'd rather it come off on the paper towel rather than on my hand in the middle of a project working on like a nice piece of white paper. It makes way more sense to just get that color out now. All right, so as you kind of rub that on there, you kind of pull off any color that might still be there. There we have it. Okay, perfect. All right, now we have our fun paper, and now we can do all sorts of fun things with it. You can die cut it, you can write on it if you want, but you can do some fun things with that. So kind of getting that really beautiful kind of gradation of color. All right, okay, but now let's take it to the next level. Okay, so let's see here. So let's say you have this little piece of white paper here, and let's say that you're playing with this cloud stencil, which I love. So you can either take your blending brushes, or in this case, I'm actually going to take a little sponge, one of my little blending sponges here. I have my cloud stencil, and let's see, when I'm normally working with a cloud stencil, I work from the top down. So I'm going to take some of this, and I love this effect because what happens is that it actually looks like fluffy white clouds because the background is textured, so which is actually really, really cool. So I'm picking up some ink here. I'm actually going to start down here on the cloud stencil itself. I'm just going to kind of swipe up like so and kind of dab on some color like this. Okay, so that way you get that crisp edge, but then you want to kind of blend out into nothing. Okay, so by doing this kind of technique, we're kind of pressing it up and kind of pressing up towards the top. Okay. Now I'm going to bring this down. Look how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh. I just am already just so overjoyed with how this looks. And then I'm going to bring this over here, and we'll do a little bit of overlapping here. Again, I'm just going to kind of press down, but I'm going to kind of blend it out into nothing. But I'm not going all the way up here because I still want that to look like a cloud, right? And so we're just going to kind of lightly press that up there. Oh, look how fun this is. And what I love about this stencil is you can actually just line that up in case you're wanting to kind of catch an edge and make it like a little bit more crisp, like over here. I wanted that to be just a little bit more crisp. Okay. Oh, so fun. And then we can do the same thing down here. And I still had so much ink down here that I didn't even apply any more ink to my sponge here because I can just pull this ink that's on the stencil that has not dried and just bring that up towards the top and kind of dabbing down to kind of get that crisp edge. Oh, look how fun this is. Oh my gosh, I'm just so pleased with how this has turned out. Yay. I love it when things turn out exactly the way I was planning. Sometimes you guys know this, sometimes I start out and I'm like, ooh, that did not go the way I was planning, but sometimes it's an opportunity for creativity, which of course I totally encourage and suggest because it's always fun to kind of see what will happen. All right, so there you get your beautiful kind of clouds, and I'm just going to kind of add a little bit of dusting the bottom of this with a little bit more blue, so then that way we can really bring that to life there. And I'm noticing that it's pretty kind of a darker blue up here towards the top, which is fine if you want to kind of leave that. But I want that to just be a little bit darker here, just so then that way it's not so heavy up there at the top with that color. And then I'm just going to kind of press this in place here. And there we have it. Oh, look how fun this is. Oh my gosh. And you get that beautiful suede. You get that gorgeous color. Oh my gosh. I just love this so much. And because there's a really light coating of that ink on there, I don't expect it to kind of be coming off on your fingers. But for some reason you're worried or you think that it might be, you can always press paper towel on it and kind of pull off any ink that might be, any residual ink that might be on there that might still be wet. But it should be just fine. Isn't that so fun? Oh my gosh, I just love that. Love, 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 love. Okay, so now let's move on to the next idea. All right, so you've heard me talk about doing some die cutting with your suede paper. And I just have to tell you, I love doing die cutting out of the suede paper. It is just absolutely beautiful. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna pull out the die cut machine. And I'm going to use one of my favorite die cuts here. Here's my butterfly die cut. This is a Hero Arts die cut. It's absolutely stunning. And let's see if I can find a fun paper here to cut this out of. There we go. All right. Oh, actually, well, I wanted to show you can do die cuts from that too, which would actually be really cool. But I think what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to die cut it from this. And I'm going to lay this on here. All right. So I'm going to cut out this guy. All right, so this die cut machine cuts out the little butterfly out of the suede paper. Okay, so then we'll poke out all these little holes here. Oh my gosh, there's so many little pieces. All right, I'll move this to the side here. All right, so then you get the intricacy that you would expect from the die cut machine, but then the image is also flexible, where normally with paper, if you bend it too much, it just starts to crease, especially with cardstock. So here you get a more flexible little die cut piece. So what you can do with that is you can actually put it on the front of our little book. So I'm going to use some of the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive here to adhere this. Oh, hopefully that'll work. Guess we're about ready to find out. Okay, so I'm going to use the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive is a really fine line glue. See how amazingly fine point that is? It's amazing. So you can actually go in here and actually adhere all of those little fine point little areas there. Oh, and there was one more thing I was going to do here, but it might be a little bit too late to do it, but we'll try. Okay, so my glue on the back side there. And then what I actually wanted to do, I'm going to get glue everywhere here, but I can always clean it up, is I actually wanted to colorize the inside of my butterfly here and add just a little bit darker color right there in the middle. So it just kind of adds just a little bit of interest, making it just a little bit more fun and kind of, I like that kind of tone on tone kind of look there. Okay, and then, since I actually really wanted to use the light color as well, I'll go in with my Wild Honey color here, and I'm gonna add some lighter colors just along the outside. And again, it just makes it so you kind of get that nice kind of tone on tone kind of appearance there. There we go. All right, now, oh, look, I did a little stenciling on the bottom underneath that there. I'm just gonna clean that off really fast. I'm gonna have to re-glue this, but that's the benefit of working with a craft mat, is that I can just flip that back over and apply some more glue. All right, apply some glue, especially here in the middle and on these little antennae here, along the edge of the wings. All right. Then, because this is a nice flexible paper here, so I want the spine here, I'm going to actually do this so then that's actually lays right here, so that way I get to experience the whole fun body of the butterfly. But then I can actually wrap it around the back side of our book cloth here. And this should adhere perfectly, but I guess we'll find out what happens here. All right, and there we have it. Isn't that so cool? Now you could also do that with, make this like into a sticker. So you could actually take your suede paper, put some double-sided tape on the back side of it, do your little die cuts, and then maybe stickers, and you can stick them on things, which would also be super cool. Oh my gosh, we have to do that right now. Okay, sorry guys, just bear with me here because I'm coming up with all these fun ideas and I want to do all of the things. All right, so there we go. All right. So this is my 2-inch wide double-sided tape here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and peel this off. I don't need very much because the die cuts I'm going to use are actually going to be really little. And I'm going to use my black suede paper here, and I'm just going to stick this on the back side of this. Okay, I'm going to trim off any excess here, so that way I don't have tape sticking to everything. Okay. All right, and now I'm going to use my little kitty die cuts, these little guys, so cute, to make little suede kitty stickers. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. They're going to be so cute. All right. What's beneficial about the 2-inch wide double-sided tape is that it's really easy to make your own stickers. All right, so now we have our little die cuts here, and they'll cut out. I'm going to use my tool here to poke out these little guys. Oh my gosh, there we have it. Oops, he got stuck in there, so he's already sticky. But he's a cute little sticker now, and it's fuzzy because it's suede paper. So let's see where we want to stick him. Maybe. Okay, so now I want to stick the little kitties that I just cut out. I want to stick them on a little scene here, so I'm just going to build something real fast. Okay, so I have this little background here with some handmade paper on it, and I want some little kitties to be on that. So again, they're fuzzy because they're made out of the suede, so we can kind of stick them down here along the bottom. So cute. And then I want to make like little shelves, so I'm going to use, this is a brown ink pad here, and I'm actually just going to make a faux wood grain by just rubbing this along the edge of my paper here. That looks a little bit like wood grain, doesn't it? You know, kind of wood grainy. And then I can just cut this into little shelves and then have my little kitties perched on the little shelves. So we'll stick this guy on the side. Oh, that's not very dark. Just a little bit darker there. There we go. So we can stick all the way in here. And we'll stick our little shelves here. And we'll stick another guy there to be nice contrast here. And we'll stick another little shelf here. And then we'll have our little kitties. We'll pull these out here with my little tool here for poking out little die cuts. And then they're just little cat stickers, so we can just stick them wherever we would like. So just another fun little way to use your suede paper, especially if you happen to have a die cut machine, because it just makes it really easy to cut out and make cute little professional looking suede stickers with minimal amount of effort. So much fun. And I love these little mini kitty die cuts because the kitties have so much personality. Look how cute they are. And this little guy. And what's cool about the suede paper is that it comes in so many cool like natural colors that you can also cut them out of like brown or cut them out of like off-white, you know, so you can get, you know, you don't just have to have black kitties. So lots of fun little things there, but look how sweet they are. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, so cute. I'm just gonna trim this up. The pair of scissors has glue on it from earlier. So just a fun little way to kind of create like a cute little scene there. Pretty sweet. Okay. All right, so that's just another fun idea for using your suede paper. All right, so now I want to show you about heat embossing on your suede. All right, I'm gonna move my die cuts to the side here. Clear off my space just a little bit. All right. All right, so you have your black paper here, and you can get out your stamps. Let's see what stamp I want to use here. So this is a new stamping platform that I recently got in. This is really great for like stamping, like it's a nice stamp positioner, so then that way you have the little magnets here. But what's cool about this is that you have this top block and it has these little squishy sides on it, so then that way you can line this up, it just hooks right in there and you can press down and you get that nice even impression. What's also cool about this is if you have one of those turnabout stamps, you can stamp multiple times and kind of turn it so that way you can turn it 90 degrees every time. So I'm going to use this with this amazing dragonfly stamp that I love. So I usually just stick it right there on to the suede and then stick on my block here, and I'm just going to pick it up. So that way you can ink it up and we know it's going to land in the right spot. I'm using my Versamark ink pad here to do some heat embossing. So I'm just going to press this on here so that it's a nice even coating. And then we're going to stamp that onto the suede paper. Okay. All right. So once our impression is stamped, and I believe that it is, but I'm going to ink it up one more time just to make sure that I get a nice clean full adherence of ink onto the suede. Okay. All right. Now I assume this is going to work perfectly, but we will see. And I'm going to do some gold embossing powder here. I'm just going to sprinkle that on and then shake off any excess there. And you're going to need to like tap it a little bit so then that way any excess embossing powder is going to kind of come off. It was kind of interesting doing heat embossing onto fabric, or in this case the velvet paper, which is kind of a fabric. The book cloth. All right, so that's what you end up with. Okay, so now we're going to do our heat embossing. We got the heat gun here. All right. You can watch what happens here when you heat set it. It's going to melt the embossing powder in the shape that you've stamped here. So you can probably see how it's starting to melt. Make sure you don't burn yourself there. All right. And now you have your beautiful image that's been heat embossed onto the velvet paper. Isn't that so cool? And so it's totally on there. And now it's also totally waterproof. So isn't that cool? All right, well now with the same kind of idea, you can even just do a black heat embossing onto a different color. So we can take our paper here. Actually, I'm gonna go with a different color here. There we go. So what we can do here is we're going to hold this in place again, and then I'm going to ink this up one more time here. Put that over here and stamp that down. And then I'm going to use my black embossing powder this time. We lay this down here. Shake off any excess there. heats it back right. But then you can also do, are you ready for this? You can actually do watercolors onto your suede. So yes, your suede paper can even be painted. So you can take your water brush here, and we can go in here, it's all dry, and you can kind of pick up your fun colors and kind of decide how you want to do some little coloring in here. Now you don't need so what's going to happen here is that because the color is kind of wet, it's going to kind of spread out just a little bit, but the embossing is actually just going to hold some of that ink in place, so it's not going to leak out so very, at least not very much, into the rest of the card there. So just kind of keep in mind, it's definitely going to take just a little bit of a learning curve as you're painting this in place, and it does take a little while for the watercolors to dry. And I can see it's kind of leaking out along the sides just a little bit. But it does kind of an artistic look, and it's really, really beautiful. Again, just a totally different kind of technique, but kind of fun. All right, and this is probably not the correct colors for a dragonfly, but we're going with it. You can just kind of use your paintbrush to kind of just add in a little bit of color kind of here and there. And my recommendation is not to create a whole puddle of water. You just need the colors to just be wet, so then that way you can apply them onto the suede. The more water you use, the longer it's going to take for your ink to dry. So just wanted to kind of give you a heads up there. Because when I was playing with this earlier, what happened was that my paper was my book cloth was so wet that I actually had to use a paper towel to just kind of dab it dry. So that's something else you can do if you do end up getting it just a little bit too wet. It's not going to dry as quickly as watercolor normally would dry on a piece of normal paper. Okay. So, and then I love how you kind of get these kind of darker and lighter kind of colors here. When there's less color on the brush and the brush is just wet, you kind of get this kind of softer look here right down in the middle here. And then we're just going to add a little bit more color here onto the body. And then what I want to do, since it is kind of an artistic kind of look already, and because it is kind of, because of the way the, okay, I figured we could go in and add just a little bit more artistic kind of element to this. And I'm going to squeeze a little bit of water out here to my blue little section here. And then to finish this image off, I'm just going to do a splatter all the way around, because that's going to kind of spread out a little bit anyway and kind of look a little bit more artistic. And so I'm just going to kind of lay that in, since we already have some of these areas here that have kind of bled out just a little bit along the edges. You can kind of get kind of an interesting kind of a look there. And there we have it. There is our fun little watercolor dragonfly. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh, I just love that. All right, so there we have today's demo, friends. I hope you learned lots of fun things. And thanks for joining me and having fun learning all about the magical world of suede paper. And I hope you enjoyed, especially learning about the little suede stickers that you can create, but all of the other fun things that you can do and use. Stenciling, making little mini books, just, you know, doing some watercolors. But I hope you guys have lots of fun. Hate embossing. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you later. Have a fun day.